Hey everyone, it's a dose of Dr. Drew.
It is a dose, but it's a very special dose because we are dedicating today's dose. We'll get all you guys on the chat, and we'll also do our usual COVID review and whatnot. But we are dedicating today's show to our new citizen, Simone Bienne. Simone Bienne, welcome to the program. Simone and I worked together for years on the radio and on television. And tell the story, how you got here, how we got together very quickly.
Well, it was very bizarre, actually, because I got an email. I was about to say through my letterbox, but I got an email in the inbox from the company that Drew was working with.
Hold on a second, I'm going to fix that.
It's this mic.
Don't touch.
Go ahead.
Anyway,
that was the television company Telepictures.
Yes,
and
Telepictures.
you at the time were on the radio for the BBC.
For the equivalent of KISS, so Capital Radio.
Radio, okay.
And doing lots for Sky TV and Channel 5 and OK Magazine. And they said, would you ever consider living in America? And it was literally like one of those emails that came in saying, are we allowed to swear on the show?
Yeah, sure. Internet.
I mean, I'm still part British, so I can, curse like her.
Good.
And it's like one of those emails that come in saying, would you like your dick bigger? It's like never going to happen. And suddenly it happened, and then flew over, fell in love with you.
And we ended up working together on radio, but you made the huge mistake of relying on a television production company for a job. And of course, that all ended, as it does every time anybody ever does television. It comes, it goes. But then you got on the radio with me and Mike Catherwood.
Yes,
which was a lot of fun.
Which was a dream.
And in the course of doing Loveline with us, you got to meet Rudy, and we had Rudy stop by today to congratulate you for your new citizenship as an American. Rudy, thanks for joining us.
Oh,
what's up,
Rudy.
Simone? Hey, congratulations. That's amazing that you're like a citizen.
Rudy,
like
something
I'll pretend for the sake of this conversation that I'm one too.
Right. I realized I've never asked you that. I never really got that heritage, but I know your kids are all citizens, right?
No, I'm just kidding. No, I was born here, fool. My dad and my mom, they both are from Mexico, but like I was born in like Cedars, fool.
Really? Cedars Sinai, back before it was Cedars Sinai, just the Cedars Hospital downtown.
That's right. I'm older than you think, fool. Because I como se dice, I moisturize and exfoliate and shit.
I know.
So I look young.
Steal all that stuff from the Beverly Hills women that you work for, right?
That's right, fool.
Your accent is just to die for.
What accent?
I mean, no accent at all. At all.
No, I talk like everyone I live with. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. You got an accent. You're the one who's from fucking Siberia, where the fuck you're from. But like, congratulations, for being. Hey, no, I was thinking about it because I know I was just playing. You're from England, and I like England is dope. Like that's where Morrissey's from. So I like that a lot. And like hey, I was thinking I got a tip for you. Because I messed this up, and so like I had a lot of wear and tear on my asshole for making this mistake, and I don't want to have you make this mistake. But like where you come from, a fanny is your panocha, is your pussy.
Really?
But like here in America, like that's an asshole. So like I don't want you to make that mistake if you're going to bed with someone and like you're like, hey, chuck it in me fanny. And then like next thing you know, he's blasting your ass out. And
is that what you told Trucha back in the prison days?
Like,
did you say something about your fanny to Trucha? Is that what happened?
No. See, what had happened was like when I got out of the pen and like I realized that I liked the touch of a man, that was something that I was into. I had a relationship with a British fellow. You know what I'm saying? Like and so. We started talking about like when he was straight, because I'm like still straight, you know what I'm saying? For like I have a wife and I like pussy more than anything, but like occasionally it's like I'm not like big into calamari, but like every once in a while it's like the only thing on my mind, Sure. And it's kind of like the same as man's butthole. I don't really like it all the time, but like once in a while, it's like the best thing ever. So like I had this relationship. I met this vato at a bar called Trunks in West Hollywood. And then like he was British, and he was like Cockney and shit.
And was
like,
he a
it was right
citizen
there
like
on his
Simone?
name.
Did he go through the process?
I didn't even ask him. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't too concerned about like his papers, dog. I just wanted his dick. And like so then he was talking about like back where I came from, Jose got me plenty of funny. And I was like, well, you're about to get plenty more, dog, you know. And I pulled my pants down and like I did la spread, like at county jail, I spread it open.
La spread.
And he was like, what are you talking about? I was talking about my ex-wife's panocha. So like
it got confusing.
That's a long story. What
Yeah,
I'm saying is like I don't want Simone to accidentally have
she won't
blown out.
No, she won't get blown out. I wouldn't worry about that. And now that you're a citizen, anything change? Anything new?
Do you know what? It's really
are you in this moment a citizen? Or are we going to sign papers?
Well, I think we can make it official.
Oh my God! Look at that! Look at that!
So
this is the camera can pick that up.
I'll tell you the story, but that was on Friday the 13th. And
lucky day.
Yes, it turned out to be a lucky day, but the story I will unveil a little later because TMZ was involved.
Oh, nice! Good for you.
And so was a grave, a tomb. But we'll get into that. But yes, so I think I have to.
And this is where you're going to sign here, right?
Yeah, and we can check.
Well, we'll let Rudy get on with his day before we do it.
Do you think that this is the likeness of
yes,
me?
Yes.
We have to check that this is the likeness.
So people are confused on the chat. Let me just say Rudy is someone Simone got to know through us doing radio with Mike Catholic for many years on Loveline. And Simone today became a citizen. Let's do it with a big flair. Let's not do it I'm going to let Rudy go before you sign your
You should sign it. You should sign it with blood, make it more official.
Oh, now we are going to do it. Okay, it's got complete music and everything. Go ahead, Simone.
Rudy, just to let you know that when I was 19, I went traveling around Mexico for 4 weeks with a backpack, and I loved it.
Did you meet a lot of Rudys?
I didn't. I met... No, I
Different.
because nobody is like Rudy.
Well, no, there's a lot of Rudys. They're just not necessarily in Mexico. Interesting.
No, they're in like East LA, Amani, Coima,
Boyle Heights,
San Gabriel.
Yeah,
Duarte.
I don't like San Gabriel anymore. Here it goes.
So here we go.
This is it. This is the citizenship for real.
3, 2, 1. Oh gosh. There we go.
It is official. This young lady is a citizen. I myself am thinking about moving to another country, but we'll just go 1 for 1 as an exchange. So I don't know, Rudy, how'd you make it through the riots and stuff? Were you okay? Your kids all right? Everybody?
Oh, I was fine. I was fine. Like the only problem I had was like keeping my friends and my family from like going to loot.
Yeah, I figured.
I had to talk them down off the ledge.
I thought you would be.
That doesn't really solve much. I know you want a new TV and stuff, but like.
Yeah, I thought you might be in the middle of that. Amazingly.
Yeah, I was like, nah, because I've been through it, back in '92. I got myself a new TV and stuff, and I was like, and I was thinking, now I'm older and like wiser. I was like, that doesn't help anybody. That just like makes people, that ruins their business and gets people more upset,
Thanks, Rudy. And you're not at Jamba Juice anymore, right?
Nah, I work for Las Sparklets, delivering water bottles.
Las Sparklets. And you can.
What's Las Sparklets?
It's like La Arrowhead. They like deliver water. They deliver water. It's a local Southern California water delivery service.
Yeah, like in the East Coast, they call it Alhambra, which makes no sense because Alhambra
is next to San Gabriel.
They don't have any water there.
Right. It's especially dry in Alhambra.
And all they got is dim sum.
Now.
How long did it take to grow your moustache?
What was your question, Heina?
How long did it take to grow your mustache?
Please translate.
I was born with it.
Oh, okay.
No, it just came out. It'll be crazy because like I had like no hair on my body, but like a big mustache and pubes down like past my knees. I don't understand.
That's kind of weird. But good for
you. I'm at the age, Rudy, where I'm close to getting a moustache like you.
It's a daring look. Maybe you could like roll with it.
Yeah,
it's a daring look. Well, Rudy, any more wisdom to convey to Simone before I let you go? I know you've got some stuff to do today, and we appreciate you stopping by.
Go buy some guns. That's like, it
Yes.
seems to be like par for the course,
That's part
now
of
that
being an
you're an
American
American.
citizen, right? Right.
Yeah, like what else? Like now you have to appreciate real comedy, like none of that bullshit.
No highbrow
Like,
stuff.
yeah, like all that, like you
Monty
now you can
Python.
appreciate like real comedians and shit like that. And what else? It don't go to Mexico anymore by yourself. That's a bad idea, because like now you're a citizen, so I would just stay here.
Okay.
Like that's a good idea. Just stay here, and if you're gonna go somewhere else, um, Canada's nice, but it's cold as fuck. Let's see what else. Never ever ever like trust a big butt and a smile. That Belle Biv DeVoe told me that.
Who told you that?
Belle Biv DeVoe, they're an R&B group from the 90s.
Right.
And that's a very good point, because if a girl has a nice fat ass and she's smiling, there's something up. And then also, don't let Dr. Drew convince you that his penis is a normal size, because it's massive. And
Okay.
he oftentimes walks with a limp. And if you ever see Susan, she looks like she's been horseback riding.
Okay, right. Rudy,
Because Dr. Drew blasts her all the way up, and
Rudy
like her
on his way. Rudy, everybody go to home. Sad girl's
L5
good.
spinal cord is all torn up and shit.
Sad girl's good.
Oh no, my wife's fine. She's recovering from the the whole leg issue, and then my kids are great. Life is good, for like honest. I'm an essential person, because
how'd you do in the
I'm
lockdown,
delivering
man?
the water.
I thought you'd have trouble during the lockdown. I thought that would.
Nah,
drive you
fool,
crazy.
I'm good. I'm working, and
blazing.
life
a
is
little bit.
good, fool.
Did
What?
you blazing a bit during the lockdown?
No, I tapered off, fool. With the smoking, and you know why? Because like I have a active job. So I don't like to inhale nothing, fool. I've been doing some edibles, because I gotta keep my mind right. And I tapered off on my modelos. I'm not drinking as much.
You look great,
But,
by the way.
I get home. I'll get home. I'll throw on some comedies, some Netflix or some shit like that, and I'll eat a brownie or some edibles.
Did
or
I
some
see
shit.
you swinging a kettlebell or something? Was that you?
Oh yeah, you know what? Like, because they call me Culo Breaker. that's my nickname.
Of course.
And like, at the kettlebell swings, they get my hips and my glutes all strong, so I can blast. The other night, I was giving my wife some love, some dick love, and like I blasted her right out the door. You know how like in the cartoons when Bugs Bunny would fuck someone up, and then their like whole outline in the drywall and the wall would just be out. That's what I did to my poor wife. It was just a bent over lady like flying through the fucking wall. And like I had to have my Uncle Hector come over and laid more drywall and put it was a mess.
When you say the
But
bent
either
over
way-
lady, I'm reminded of that. Was it a tattoo you did with Jesus swinging with a Dodger uniform?
Yeah, no, I have my wife bent over about to receive love, and Jesus is dressed in a Fernando Valenzuela outfit, Fernando Valenzuela Dodger jersey.
This is your
And
tattoo.
he throws a baseball into her coochie, and it comes out her mouth a dove.
That's
Flies
great.
away, for peace and love.
I see. Well, speaking of peace and love, Rudy, peace and love.
Congratulations, Simone.
Oh, thank you, Rudy. It is so amazing to see you again.
We'll talk soon,
It's
my friend.
always nice to see you, and I'm really happy for you that you belong now that you're like a citizen, and welcome to this country.
Thank
And
you.
shit like that.
Loads of love, Rudy.
Bye, Rudy.
Bye.
Thanks, man. Yes. At Culo Breaker on Twitter is where you can follow him. And it throws you back, doesn't it?
It does.
So how many years did we do Loveline?
Nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. And to say that, I hate to say this, but I used to visualize like one day, and like my biggest dream, I would be working and on a late night advice show in America.
Wow, interesting.
And I used to visualize it and visualize it and visualize it.
That's
it was
pretty
just
cool.
my dream job.
There is something about that focuses your mind when you write things down and visualize.
Yeah,
stuff.
and
It doesn't. It's not like it's magic, but it focuses you. It makes you maybe take some risks or move in a certain direction. If you weren't focused, you wouldn't do.
And I've got to say that what's bizarre is, Drew, this all fell. When I say fell into my lap, it just It really did.
Well, but I mean, think about it. You came to America. Gee, I didn't make any big moves.
But getting to America, I
Yeah.
think was just, I was so blessed, and I really want to say like the hugest thank you to you. The
please.
hugest thank
Same
you
to you.
because now I'm part of this wonderful dysfunctional family.
How dare you, first of all.
And not just your family, but the bigger family of America. And it really is, of course it is down to you, our relationship, me just wanting to stay here, which is why I took you. This was one of the first pictures that we had taken. And
Hold up. This is me kissing Simone's dog.
This was at the photo shoot for Loveline. I don't know how many years ago.
Oh, it's so cute.
The dog is very little Bosley. She's very, very great.
Should have sent me that.
And I don't know whether it will come out of the frame. And
So funny.
and I'm so grateful for all you've done.
Don't.
And but just and all you've taught me, and just your love and
You're very
your
kind.
friendship, and with Susan as well. She can now teach me how to be a proper American
Properly.
wife.
Oh, man.
She could give me tips, but I feel really honoured and blessed.
Well,
to,
thank you.
to
We
have
love
you.
having you in our life, so it's
It's
no issue. You know what I mean? It's we feel mutually the same. People are writing in questions for you.
oh
Ready?
Yeah.
This is a woman in her mid-50s to make the choice not to date or diligently search for the one because her life is so full, wonderful, and perfect. A relationship takes a lot out of the work, and there's no room for such nonsense. Asking for a friend.
Okay. Well, I would.
I've seen more of this
suggest-
lately, by the way.
in the sense of my life is very full.
My life is full, and I don't want the hassle of a male, especially women in their 40s and 50s,
Well, you see here.
because we are a hassle.
Well, I would disagree.
Okay.
I think we would all want a Drew and a Justin in our lives. I think that fantastic that your life is full. I'm going to go serious now and
Okay.
heartfelt and say
To her.
that
It's Teresa.
Teresa, lovely Teresa, and say that I really believe that we are here for human connection. And
But let me play Teresa, okay?
yeah.
So, but I get tons of connection at work, and it's very fulfilling, and it's enough of a connection for me. And I've got colleagues that I feel close to. A romantic relationship, I've not been really good at that, and it always ends in heartache. And I'm good as I am.
Well, I think, Teresa, lovely Teresa, carry on being as brilliant as you were born to be. My hunch is that you do want a relationship, and it's often the things that we fear that we want the most. And I think you would be amazing at a relationship, because if you can have relationships at work, you can then build new relationships outside. I think you need to have the relationship that you deserve, which I don't think, it sounds like you may have had before.
Some trouble, yeah.
Yeah.
Others are coming in here. And by the way, Susan, now they say the sound is good. Before they were saying the sound was low.
Wow.
People are saying, I'm 49-year-old. My therapist told me to date. It scares me.
Now this is interesting because for what purpose are you dating?
We'll see what Downtown Trash tells us. That's who's made that comment. But in the meantime, Josette said, I want conversation, sex, and affection. Well, the conversation part, men aren't so into, even though they'll do it. It's so funny how much men resist that conversation. We're good. We like it. It benefits us. Trust me. But we have limited capacity for that very often.
And I actually, I mean, I hear myself in my own head, so I understand and can empathize with men, because women, I think, women are supposed to speak like 90,000 words a day or something like that, and men, it's almost half. And I have noticed that my good husband is not hearing me as much these days. And I'm
Oh, well,
like,
he's got a
what's
hearing loss maybe. And
what's
he just,
happening to his brain?
could be the brain
However,
too.
I think he's actually just going, oh my goodness, I've heard this for over 10 years, enough already. But I
Hasn't he learned at least to pretend he's listening? What's the matter with you, Justin? Haven't you figured that out yet? You gotta. I mean, but I'm sure Simone's so on it. She's like testing you. Are you listening to me? Did you hear me? Yeah.
So I think It's interesting. What do men like to talk about?
Well, men like to problem solve. And so when you start chatting it up, and it immediately becomes frustrating to us if we don't start talking about solution. Like, you just want to talk. You just want to blah, 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 whatever is there. And we're like, well, why are we wasting? It feels like we're wasting time if we're not going to do something with this talk. Like, we should be moving towards solving that. And or if you repeat it certainly more than 7 times, which is sort of a common phenomenon. But if you repeat it more than twice, we're already like, why? I heard, I listened. And now if I wasn't listening, you want to repeat it again, I'll happily listen, and then I get it. And then please stop repeating. But no. Because you're not done.
Not the way our beautiful
Yes.
brains loop.
You're not done.
Yes.
You have to keep repeating till you're done. And each time we do a loop, as you say, we're going and we're thinking, and we're still not solving this, and we're still not moving forward, and we're still not supposed to say anything about it. So it's challenging.
It's interesting. So we could create, as you know, I'm a trainer of NLP. We could create a strategy for men and women, which is step number 1 is up to 7 loops allowed, meaning we can go round.
Some men will jump out the window at 7 loops. I'm not kidding.
Hey, so we have some people on the Zoom line. I'm not sure if we'll be able to hear them, but I'm going to transition this.
Okay.
I'm trying to fit these in without turning the camera off. But
We're hearing my mic is louder than Simone's on the stream here on the chat.
Okay. I'll turn it off. Don't touch it. Oh.
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
No, let hands off. I know, it has a...
Sorry. There.
Oh, it moved again. Oh,
There.
Andy Dick killed that
Yeah.
mic.
There we go.
Anyways,
Ooh, that's much better. I think that did it.
there's a... Yeah,
Hello.
Sorry.
Patrick said the looping drives me effing nuts.
Looping.
Oh.
And
What
he's
looping?
repeating it.
Oh.
Well, imagine, Patrick, what it is like in our heads, and I'm so sorry that you have to.
What looping?
The looping, when we loop in our
When
minds.
you
and-
repeat stuff in a conversation.
Oh, you're not talking about the sound. Okay.
No.
good. All right. So, anyways, we have on the line Katie McVitie. We have Caroline Kane, Rara Rachel, and somebody named Tag.
Oh,
But they have to unmute their
Oh my goodness! Look at that.
microphones. Okay.
Look
okay.
at this. This is
Look at that.
fantastic.
Look at that. Oh my
Hi,
God, that
everybody.
worked.
Look at this.
It's actually
So
working.
how do we let them talk without jumping all
Oh,
over
I
each
have to
other?
turn on the sound.
Okay.
Okay, there they are. Okay.
Let's let the threesome go first.
Oh,
Hi, ladies.
Hi. Sheila was my best woman, and these are her 2 amazing daughters who are still 4 in my mind, because that means that I'm still that age.
12.
12, exactly. Oh, hi.
So where are you guys?
We're in Manchester, England.
It's fantastic.
I have a question for Simone,
Oh.
please.
Of course, by all means, proceed.
Well, as Simone knows, I have been with my husband for a very, very long time.
Were you going to ask this question in front of your daughters for real? Okay.
I'd like to ask Simone. We've had lots of conversations, but we won't go there. But I'd like to ask Simone, how does she manage to stay so glamorous? Because obviously, I'd like to stay as glamorous as Simone for my husband.
Absolutely adorable. And do you know who I speak to? I speak to, number 1, the First Lady of Love, which is
So she's
Susan.
your advisor?
She is my
It's true.
advisor.
There is a famous story about that.
And actually, all 3 parts, I get my call from Tag, Mr. DT, who will introduce
There he is. We'll get him in a
David.
second.
David should we introduce him now? David used to be my manager, and David is one of the best humans on this earth, and I love him to pieces. And he's the man that negotiated my contract, and I had to play so hardball. But
I did a
think
terrible job.
Half the women fancied him, so it was very easy. He just had to turn up for breakfast occasionally and move his swagger. And I became very good friends with David's wife. And David's wife is so super cool. She added my cool, and then the lovely Kaza, who is so wise, I call her Kazai Lama.
Is she on here?
She
There she
is
is,
at
yeah.
the top there. Lovely Caroline. she set me up with, let's say, some fine doctors. And and that's how we do it. And then for laughter, and then for laughter, my rah-rah bibba, my bestest friend, she just keeps me laughing. So
Which is important.
That is
You,
as well.
You
and
have
so
not
does she,
aged
of course.
1 minute.
Oh, you're so sweet.
No,
I think.
no, seriously. I mean, that's kind of weird.
Well, I hope. I've got the Indian genes, right,
Yeah,
DT?
that's helpful.
David's Indian.
Excellent.
It's difficult, actually, now that I'm American, I can say this, because I keep wanting to go up to every brown person going, hi, and they go, and they speak Spanish.
You should. You should.
And I'm like, oh.
I encourage it,
Indian.
candidly.
And then you asked Susan that famous question about body parts.
Oh my gosh,
Tell the story.
that was hilarious. So I
And
had
this is Justin, by the way. He's
and
sitting next to
Justin,
me.
my darling Justin, and darling Susan.
Yeah,
So
let me-
to be here.
party. So
turn
I
on his
had I had a client who, they were a couple, so lovely, and she had gone through childbirth, and anyway, so there was lots of stuff going.
Involutional changes of pregnancy, we call that.
Oh, that makes it sound. I was going to say, now if I was in the north of England, Sheila will contest, I would have said saggy tits.
Yes, that's another way of
How
saying
was
it.
your vagina, though?
But now I'm in America.
Yeah, I figured because
I
where
went.
her focus went, it was involutional changes. But go ahead.
Let's hear all about her.
And so they said to me, and it's hilarious that they asked me, and they said, Simone, just like, do you know anyone who, any good surgeons, any sort of breast? And I went, oh, tell you what, I will ask, and I probably shouldn't.
Go ahead.
I will ask Drew's wife, Susan. She has got the best breasts
Best boob job ever.
you've ever seen. So I text her, and I remember it was actually on
an old lady.
No, no.
Independence. No, on Independence Day,
Okay.
a few years ago. And I text her, and I was like, "Hope you don't mind me asking, who did your boobs?"
She
And she
responded.
God.
God, she said, I don't know, God? Question mark.
And I was like, "They're real." So that was the funny story there.
So that was.
I have good comebacks
So,
when it comes to my
no, they were real. They are real. They
And
remain real.
Susan, I don't know whether you disclose your age, but Jiminy Cricket. Susan just has the best. I mean, this is a bit of a love fest, and obviously, Drew, you won't mind us saying this. Has the best body, and
you.
Susan very kindly.
I'm 60.
It's unbelievable, so
Harsh,
hot.
but
And
believe.
I go to Susan's. Well, it was both of you actually helped me stop being crazy while during perimenopausal, and I
Oh,
know
yeah.
it happened to me at 35, and
Yeah.
I'm
That's
still
about when it
35.
happened. It happened to her, too.
And there, when I go in and get my injections, they're all going, "Oh my God, have you seen Susan's?" But I'm like, "She's got their bet. What does she do?" It's like, anyway,
So here we
we
go.
love.
That's Drew's fault. Remember what Rudy said?
Oh yeah, yes.
Had to
Harken
ride
back
a
to Rudy.
horse. Yes.
But Dave, we met years ago, right? Back in the old when Simone just got here.
Yeah, that's right. And in fact, I think through our mutual friend, John Faragher.
Oh my God!
Oh.
You know, it's so funny. You would bring up John, and you know John too. I mean,
Yes,
it's been Howard died like a week after, exactly a
Oh
week
my gosh,
after
I'm so sorry.
John, and I was.
Did you know that I didn't even know that Howard had passed away
I was literally
until just now?
I was at John's, the reception we had at that restaurant. I'm sure you were there.
Yeah, I
and-
didn't. I went to the funeral itself, but then I had to bail out of town.
Got it. So I was running around the restaurant there, having to tell everybody Howard's gone too. I mean,
my gosh.
it was a stunning week,
Oh.
and it's nearly been a year. Can you imagine that?
I know, it's wild.
So,
Gosh,
so sad.
really?
So
as a matter of fact, I was going to have Douglas, our son, on as a representative for the family. This is kind of last minute. He's not driving, but he was on the line for a short time, and he worked for John Faragher as an intern
Yeah.
for a while. And he was he wanted me to relay this note to you. He said, "Congrats! Couldn't be more excited for you. Though the general climate in the U.S. is as tense as Rudy assaulting a British man, I couldn't be more proud of your accomplishment. I had the chance to work as you as a temporary agent for one of your managers when. My mom wanted me to mention the story, though I wish I could be here to say this because I suck at delivery. One of my bigger tasks for your manager at the time was reading material that would pitch to publishers. Well, one of your books about sex therapy was pitched. So on a flight to Las Vegas, my mom watched me, no, it was actually New York. My mom watched me pull out Simone Bienne's sex therapy book as a 19-year-old, next to some random traveler who was staring at me like a freak of nature. It was worth the read and is an honor to have known you so well over the years. I hope this means I get to see you more often, although I might be trying to move to Australia due to the general conditions
Yes,
of the
we're all
US.
thinking about moving on to other
Just
countries.
kidding.
Welcome.
Much love and talk soon.
Oh.
Kisses, Douglas.
Oh,
And
that's so beautiful.
So that's my son who worked for John. John was my agent for years and years, your agent for years and years. Howard was my manager for decades. And
And the woman on the plane read your book too.
Oh.
and
And now Douglas is very popular.
so now your friend where Manchester? Where are you? Not Manchester.
And Rach is which one?
I don't know.
There's
I'm getting
Sheila.
confused. We need like little maps.
Sheila and Rachel were my best women at our wedding.
Got it.
Whoops.
And-
You didn't pick me up for saying, Simone, don't say my wedding.
Yeah, I have
Our
I have a
wedding.
problem
You can
with
say
that too.
my
And
men are absolutely marginalized at weddings. That's okay. We're quite accustomed to that. We are just sort of
It's okay.
incidental.
It'll be okay.
Yeah.
and we I do what is in my head right now, sorry, just to sort of liven the party, and I don't know whether Rach will say it, and she's got kids sleeping upstairs, but Rach, could you please say the swear word in Manchester, which you taught me when I first met you, and I've known both of
She
them.
can't remember. She can't remember.
Which is
There's so many.
there are so many, she said. So we say there in the north of England, tit end, otherwise known as a nipple.
Tit end.
Yes. Oh, you tit end. And then you have to go, otherwise known as a nipple.
You used to teach me all kinds of British,
I know.
and now I've lost them all. It's
Well,
like
we have to
learning
get you
French.
back in. And I mean, we can do
Take
a really...
the piss out was one I stayed with.
Yes,
Take the
and
piss out.
gobsmacked.
Gobsmack kind of
You-
stayed, but take
you-
the piss out was the one that I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah, take the... Oh, my God.
that's
Yeah,
a good
you
one.
taking the piss.
And because I think Australians have that one too. And
Yes.
I've been around.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on our buddy's name. Help me, everybody.
Jim Jeffries.
No, well, Jim Jeffries, but he doesn't use it the way.
You like the word grunties.
Wolfmate. Help me.
Oh, Jason.
Jason does the way
Ellis.
Jason does. Yes, thank you. God, that's weird.
I see.
Now, this aging thing is beyond
just-
reproach, man.
Oh, welcome to
When
being...
you forget
it's-
names that people you know well, it's very
And
disconcerting.
it's embarrassing when I remember him and he doesn't, which is even worse.
Can we wish David happy birthday?
Happy birthday.
2 days ago. And happy birthday.
Boy, thank you very much.
You're going to get a text today. It's been...
Uh,
And...
Miles would like to say hello. He
I
wanted to
noticed
congratulate
that.
you,
Miles is
Simone.
Aw.
He's
Miles-
been sort of stalking me all day, trying to sort of hijack my Zoom. So I
He's made,
apologize.
he's
for
made
that.
several passes, I noticed. So
Yeah.
he's in the game.
Yeah, that's him.
So now we've not yet heard from
and lovely Caroline.
Caroline. Yes.
Now, Caroline met you many years ago.
At Life Changers.
No.
Oh.
Before.
What?
Yeah. It was actually, believe it or gosh, it was almost 20 years ago. I was one of the key account people for Seroquel.
Oh
And
my God,
so
you were
I
a drug
came
rep?
here- Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hysterical. And
I
then
know. And yes. And so I came to your office in Pasadena and
South
met you a
Pas-
number of times there. Yeah.
South Pasadena, and
South
I
Pas,
was probably good juju for drug reps back then because I was working in a psychiatric hospital.
Oh, wow.
And we were using, and I'm sure I told her this, I was using crap loads of Seroquel for opiate withdrawal at the time. Wow.
Yeah.
And no one else was doing that then. And I was saying, look, it really lets them sleep. You know, we got to get these people get through this damn thing. And and here's some words that never came out of my mouth. I don't know what we're going to do with these heroin addicts. I can't get anybody off heroin. We never had any difficulty getting people off opiates. And so when Suboxone came along, I was always saying, I see the data, but I don't have any trouble getting people off opiates. Why do we need an opiate to get somebody off opiates? But okay. Well,
Yeah.
here we are. It's a very complicated question. Are you still working for pharmaceuticals?
No, I haven't been working for about a year and a half now, but I'm very interested in psychiatry, so I still keep an eye on everything. And this is obviously a topic Simone and I like to discuss a lot. It's about psychology and psychiatry and everything from drug addiction to sex addiction to medicine to alternatives, all of it. So I think we both still keep an eye on what's in that world, so to speak. But you're definitely a pioneer, and thank you, because I appreciated being able to tell that story, after going to Las Encinas Hospital and telling the other providers how you were using Seroquel and how much of a benefit it was to be able to do that. It
really was.
It's obviously great. Yeah.
I mean, and even for we had a lot of different things we would mess around with to try to get people off drugs. You have to use things you got to get their brain square.
Right.
And you have to use other things to make it possible for people to get sober. So Seroquel is one of our go-tos. So there you go.
And Caroline is also, maybe she could do, right, so Caroline is, she's pre-med, super smart.
Oh, you're training now?
Well, she was pre-med.
Got it.
Back in the day.
Got
back in the day.
All that training, yeah.
And she was, Caroline was instrumental in my interest in spirituality. And we used to walk sort of like nearly 2 hours every day. And Caroline, then I had to call her like the Dalai Lama, because she is like so full of wisdom. So she would tell me all this stuff. And now my new brand, David, eventually, about 5 years later, I'm getting my new brand out. So my new brand is very much based on Joseph Campbell, who Caroline, when I say introduced me to, obviously Joseph Campbell isn't here anymore, but Caroline and I often astral travel. That's a joke.
Right.
And yeah, so my new brand sort of combines psychology and spirituality, which is, I've got a lot to thank.
And this is the golden age of that with the podcast, right? I mean, you can really glom onto all kinds of different things. I don't know if you do that. I do that all day long. So
yeah.
So what are you into now, Caroline?
Oh, go on, tell him.
Oh gosh, still a lot of the same, I have to say. Still a lot of like the things Simone and I talk about, like archetypal parts of personality, and I've actually been studying a lot of history of astrology lately,
right.
Which I've known and Justin into and made them out because I didn't.
Are you living in Brooklyn now or something? You're into astrology?
No, I live a couple of blocks away from Simone and Justin, so it's quite convenient. So I wanted to say also, I wish I had a flag as Katie does. That's the move here, obviously, but I want to welcome you to, as you said, the dysfunctional family of the United States that you were so a part of for so long already. So it just seems fitting that you would now be officially recognized as such. And as you're a mother to 2 American children, Bosley and Pickles, it just seems totally welcome.
And Caroline said it right, because now I'm an American citizen. She was Lady Pickles, but unfortunately I had to give the title away. Yes. David will understand all about titles, because David's been to London many times.
Did you guys cart him around like you did with us?
Did we what?
Did you cart David around the way you did with us?
Well, David actually carts us around.
Oh.
David's been, you used to go to London almost every year to visit your grandma, right?
Yeah. And then there was a period of time when I was at William Morris, and I actually had to move to London for 3 years. So I lived there, and it was a wonderful time. It actually just predated, I think, Simone, the moment that I met you, because if you remember correctly, we met through a very good friend of mine who lived in Hampstead, around the corner from me, same building that your mother lived in.
And
I have seen that building. I've been out in front of that building. I've stood at the threshold of that building.
I lived a 3-minute walk from that building, Drew.
Well, and then we took a 10-minute walk to some 11th century inn down by, strangely, where who's the guy that, getting me with the names again, that developed the attachment theory?
Bowlby. John Bowlby.
Bowlby's son lives right there by the inn, which I didn't know. I found out later. And we had Christmas dinner there.
Yes,
Spaniards.
yes, and it's so lovely. And it's not the Spaniards. It is, what is it? I can't remember.
Justin, help us.
I know.
it
You
is.
look it
to
up.
me.
Oh,
It's not the pub we went to, David, once. It's the one down the hill. It's a very famous one, but I'm blanking on.
Is that the Flask Walk one?
No,
it's
it's down the bottom of the hill towards Golders Green, but I can't remember the name. It's
Well,
just
while they're
escaped me.
thinking of it,
You'll know
I'm
it.
curious, Dave, what are you up to these days?
I live between a creative artist agency and a film and television content financing company. It's, I sort of straddle the line of both. I've been seconded from CAA to this new content financing entity called Library Pictures. So we finance film and television projects in local languages around the world, everything from Southeast Asia to Latin America into Eastern and eventually Western Europe.
Anything here?
No, nothing in the English language, believe it or not. It's a very
Interesting.
deliberate attempt at sort of focusing on the most significant subscriber growth for a lot of the streamers. So as they all go direct to consumer, you know, the biggest number of subscribers are going to come from foreign markets where they actually prefer local language content.
Well,
So
I can
we've been
understand.
prioritizing
Reasonably so.
markets.
I mean, they don't like stuff
Yeah.
in English with subtitles? Shocking.
And can I just mention? David said earlier, and this is now maybe it's in the stars or in astrology, but it was so incredible how
she left.
David.
She's not there.
There she is. I was just saying maybe it was in the stars that I'm here in America, but it was so bizarre how I got introduced to David because my father had just died. And David's best friend used to live literally sort of in the flat, the apartment next to my mum and dad. And Monica, I'm so bad at telling stories, and whenever I try to cut it down, I'm like, we just need to speed like the 2 times, and then we'll get there. But Monica, Matt's wife, had just moved back to Sweden, and then had come over and stayed with my mum. And me and Justin gave birth, a very difficult pregnancy, to, look at David's face, like, to Bosley, Winston, Abraham Franklin, and our little Boston Terrier. And so Monica was like, oh, please, will you come over? We'd love to see you. And so I went over. And then I was just chatting, and I just met you, didn't have representation in the States. And Monica said, oh my God, you've got to meet Matt's best friend. He is the best, the nicest, like the most fantastic human being, agent, manager. They've just started out this new company, and that was John's new company via Octagon.
Oh my gosh.
And so then Matt contacted David. David, you were at some airport somewhere. We then discovered that my dad and is it your mum or it was your mum?
That's right. Yeah, my mother.
Are from like the sort of like have the same sect of religion as such, sort of like this sort of tiny sect. There's only like 1 million in the world or something. So we had this, and I was like, oh my gosh.
What is the religion? Just curious.
It is Ismaili.
Which is
which
is part of the Islamic religion.
Islamic
yeah.
subsect.
And so my father, and so interestingly, like this lovely mix here. So my father's family are those that are still around are Ismaili. Then they converted from Hinduism. Then my dad converted to Christianity. David's father is Jewish.
That's
so
right.
it's wonderful. I mean, David, we could have had we need to get
Welcome to America.
yeah, exactly. All around the table, these wonderful religions. And it was just so bizarre. And then I spoke to David and I said, oh yes, I've just been working with Dr. Drew. And he was like, oh my gosh, hold on. That's the agency I work with. I know Drew, blah, blah, blah. And it was just amazing. And
Drew, back in the day when I was a lawyer at William Morris, early on, as a matter of fact, how I met John was he kind of plucked me out of a group of lawyers and said, okay, you're doing all of my deals and all of the deals on behalf of my clients. And at the time, I actually had been working on a series of your deals behind the scenes, kind of like the guy behind the guy behind the guy.
Mine or
and so
Simone's?
my first exposure to you was sort of like love line deals that were running through Faragher's office.
Or Celebrity Rehab or something. Crazy. Oh yeah, they'll love the
yeah, I think it was.
deal.
Actually, you're right. It was Celebrity Rehab. That's right. Yeah.
Craziness. Stephen
that-
says,
isn't that
Simone, you
lovely?
changed my life with the 4 Agreements book recommendation.
Oh,
What is the 4 Agreements?
It is an amazing book that actually I need to
gonna look
dip
it
back
up.
into. And may I then recommend the other one called The Mastery of Love. And he is Mexican, and it's actually he's a very, very wise master and uses
Here are the 4 Agreements, and we could use a dose of this today.
Great.
Be impeccable with your word. I've heard that a lot lately. Don't take anything personally. Easier said than done. Don't make assumptions, which I think is, so to me, that's just a call for critical reasoning, and always do your best, which I would say even more than do your best. As Adam says, don't do your best, do my best. And in other words, do your best as though a camera were running on you at all times.
Oh,
That's sort of the kind of best we
good.
should do. That's Kantian best.
I think they call that Catholicism. Oh,
Well, that's guilting. Kant has the imperative, the categorical imperative, is behave as though every minute your behavior is representative of a absolute moral truth. You know, your
that's beautiful.
You know, you're behaving as though.
And what was his name? Who just said that?
Kant, K-A-N-T.
No, not Kant.
Oh, that was the 4. That was the 4.
No, as in the chap that wrote in.
Oh, Stephen.
Sorry. Stephen, may I recommend The Mastery of Love? And I would like to say to Stephen as well that my big thing is that we don't love, we are love. And so, Stephen, when you read that book as well, you'll really get into it. From that, actually, it stemmed ideas where I think sort of our lives, and this is just trying to simplify things, we can come from love or we can come from fear. And it is, if ever we feel shitty and not good, then we know that we're on the fear track. But if we feel good, even if it's challenging, then we're on the love track. So I think there's a
Susan,
dance that can go with that. And quite frankly, David, I think your
What's wrong?
wife will
I'm
be
going to let
teaching
all
it
these
to
guys
me.
go. I feel like I'm holding them.
Wait,
right
I want
now.
to take a picture on.
Okay, but
on-
it's 9 hours. It's midnight in England right now,
Yeah,
and
so
we've
we
got
need
a
Justin.
bit.
Well,
it looks nice and bright
very,
there.
very quickly, and I'm gonna put Kazza on the spot because it was David's birthday 2 days ago, so which is June the 17th. No, 16th. See, I'm an American now. Yay! I can't count.
That was yesterday, right?
I have to say math. Was it 2 days ago?
Which would
That's
be
right.
16th.
2
yeah,
days ago,
16th.
the 16th.
Yeah.
So David was born on the 16th. Where were you born, and at what time?
Truth is, I was born in Cleveland, Ohio. My dad's a neurosurgeon. He was studying at the Cleveland Clinic at the time.
Interesting.
And I have absolutely no idea. I had said to my wife the other day, I've never even seen a copy of my birth certificate. And my parents are useless with this type of information. So if I were to ask them what time of day was I born, they wouldn't know the answer. So that's the unfortunate part.
What
I
a
can only
good
give
way
partial
to get
answer.
out of your astrology being
see,
read.
I see. I
Passing
figured
the
that's where you
way,
were going.
and now it's all going to be over to Drew.
No. Well, we'll let everybody go first because they're in the middle of the night in England.
We'll can we keep Kazza on because I would
Okay,
love
so
her.
she's going to
to
evaluate
do-
me. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Sorry, Kazza, to put you on the
Bye,
spot.
David. Good to
and
see you again.
Girls, best women.
Pleasure.
And David, I love
Bye,
you.
Simone.
I love
Congratulations.
you. and
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Dave. Thank you.
Mwah. Bye.
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 Love you.
Bye. Bye. Rara, love you. Bye.
See what
She.
happens in the
Bye.
Zoom picture. Oh,
And
there.
Susan, somebody's asking, was that the 4 Agreements? Was that something that the Stephen Adler, was that the book?
Yes,
Yeah.
Stephen Adler. I was going to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was the one
That
he
was
dug
his
to.
big. That's how he stayed sober.
It
It's,
really spoke to him.
It's a very, very powerful, a very powerful book, and The Mastery of Love was one of my favorites
Was that the
as
same
well.
guy?
Yeah, same guy, and it kind of he talks about the stuff that you and I would talk about, and because I've been during COVID, you'd be so proud of me. Oh my gosh, I've been such a bookworm.
Good.
I'm getting.
Did you get anxious during COVID?
I did actually. I did. I'm still sleeping on the floor.
Why?
Because Because I think I need to be close to the ground.
Why?
And because clearly I need grounding.
Was Justin on the floor too?
No, Justin's in the bed.
Yeah,
he's in the nice Swedish bed.
So
but I'm on the floor.
So you're saying to me you were not anxious or disturbed by COVID, but you slept on the floor every night.
No, I said I was anxious. But what COVID has been an absolute blessing to me because. Are you?
Yes, I'm being facetious.
Oh,
yes.
oh damn it! Because I've got to say I've had so many breakthroughs because the stuff that was in me and that I'd sort of squashed down all came up. This great fear that I didn't know I had. I did not know I had
fear of dying, fear of getting sick,
fear of rejection.
Ooh.
And I was like, huh? And then anyway, then I was reading so much and I was reading about quantum physics, and don't ask me to actually explain it to you because I had to ask Kaza going, how do I simplify this? But reading about sort of like how we get beyond time and space. And
we are all just emergent properties of a giant quantum equation.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, and that's
it's why if you look at an electron spin in this table and an electron spin of in the alpha galaxy, they will be related. They will affect each other. One will spin one way, the other will spin the other every time, no matter where you look at the electron spins, because we're all part of one giant wave.
And
function.
And see, I like the way Drew says it as well, because that actually sounds credible. I need to borrow those words from you.
I got a great podcast for you.
Oh, amazing. Because when I listen to it, when I sort of say it, I'm like, oh, we're all one. And
we are.
Like, I know,
we're
but then
emergent
people go,
properties
woo
from a
woo.
giant wave function.
Which is stunning. When I went to rescue a squirrel the other day, I told the squirrel, darling, you are consciousness and I am consciousness. I just look different from you.
Consciousness is a different matter. We'll have to have a longer conversation about that. But am I going to be subjected to some sort of astrology here? Is that
yes.
the plan?
I like astrology.
Okay, well, good.
And this is really good.
You came to the right place, Susan.
So your birthday.
Birthday is September 4th, the year and everything.
Why does he always get the rating?
Oh, Susan wants it.
I'm just kidding. It's
Susan
okay.
can have a mini one.
It's okay. You're the star.
September 4th?
Yeah. And should I give
Virgo.
it? Yeah.
You know, well, that's great. That's
Are we done?
No, but it totally makes sense to me that you'd be a Virgo, because Virgo is the sign of improving things. And so there's a lot of people in medicine, a lot of really good analytical people, because they can assess the situation and break down and see maybe where the weak spots are or what the issues might be and help people to improve them, which in psychiatry, that would be absolutely fitting.
But now I've in the past been told that is it the sun sign or the moon sign?
Yes,
or
Kaza
whatever,
can tell you. She's got a good metaphor for
whatever
that.
was coming into the Virgo setting here had been very powerful too. So I don't remember what it was, but it's 2 a.m. on the 4th. Many years ago.
Oh, I would have to pull that. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but yeah, you have your sun sign and your moon sign, and then there's the rising sign, the ascendant, and they all represent different aspects of the personality or how we psychologically behave or how we behave in the world. But the Virgo, the sun sign, even though that's the one that is maybe made into the most pop psychology kind of roll your eyes at it, kind of deconstructed version of it, it's still a very big part of the essence of who people are. So in your essence, you are a Virgo, meaning you're here to improve things, to make the world a better place. You have a focus on perfectionism. You're really good at an analysis. And it's a sign of service. And you are serving as a physician and also in everything you've done publicly. So you're really holding your Virgo essence pretty well, I must say.
My Virgo essence.
Oh, I like that. Kaza's got a way with words. And now Susan.
Wait. I have a question. I'm going to be working with an astrologist next week on a show on my podcast for Calling Out with Susan Pinsky, shameless plug. And we're going to do predictions with an astrology person. And he was talking about the sign of Taurus in retrograde and how we've been going through something like that this year.
I think everything's in retrograde.
Is the sign of Taurus what's causing all this crazy change in the world? Is that I'm just learning about it, so I'm going to find out on next
She
Tuesday.
Susan likes a retrograde. That's just the notion of retrograde appeals to her, I think. So,
There's a lot of retrograding going on right now.
see, I told you.
Specifically, it's true. We're in Mercury retrograde. We're going into a Cancer retrograde. There's a
So
Taurus
let's tell them
retrograde.
what
There's a lot of weird.
tell them what retrograde actually
The
is.
Taurus apparently is
Hang
the
on.
bad one, right?
Tell them what the retrograde
The
is
bull.
Tell them what
Okay,
the retrograde
so
is actually describing.
What it's describing is that from the focal point of the Earth, it's kind of like if you think of a car when you're driving and you're passing a car on the right that's going slower than you. As you're approaching it, you notice that it looks like it's starting to slow down. And
Right.
then as you drive past it, if you were to look behind you, it appears that the car is going backwards, even though
Right.
it's still moving forward at a slower pace.
So the planets, before we decided that the Earth was the center of the universe, we had something called epicycles. That Kepler had designed these.
Yeah.
The planets would go around and then a loop and then backwards, and they had all these mathematical modelings for how that was the planets going around the Earth.
I think
But
I'm
they
in a
had the
dream.
epicenter.
Are you I cannot believe these words are coming out of your mouth. You are
I know.
amazing.
No, that's just the
Right.
nature of
Right.
that's just astronomy.
Oh, is
it's
it?
just the basic history of. I mean, look, I think I'm a little fascinated with Galileo and his history and stuff, and he was the first to make an issue of the sun at the center. I mean, Copernicus came up with it, but Galileo put his life on the line literally to push that theory forward, because he was saying, yeah, we can describe the. See, that's the thing. This is one of the arguments about the progression of science, which is we are coming up with better and better mathematical models to predict the future. And one of the reasons there was such resistance to putting the sun at the center is that they had good models to predict where the planets were going. Right. They figured it all out with the Earth at the center. They just were wrong. And so it's just a really interesting feature of the history of science that you have to really, like, I'm sympathetic, believe it or not, to the Inquisition. Who went? Mr. Galileo, hang on. If we're gonna put your theory forward, a lot of things are gonna have to change. So give us a minute. And he was like, "No, you're all idiots. I'm gonna tell you how it is." And he was right, but you understand how? To me, it made sense that people in a bureaucracy would go, "Oh, hang on a second." You know, isn't that interesting?
It's really interesting, and I'm sorry,
It's
my
interesting
mind
history.
wandered, and I'll tell you where my mind wandered.
Okay.
All I could imagine was, is this right? Is number one, could Drew be any more amazing
stop.
and fabulous
nerdy?
and attractive? And I just imagined him like as a as a young
come
guy
on, the nerds
there,
are the hot ones. What do you-
talking about like the
Epicycles.
science of epicycles and astrology.
I wasn't
as the
listening. It was
lines
like
How about your-
wah,
how about your-
wah, 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 wah. And then I was just thinking about his hot body. That was it. That was it.
and Caroline, right? Caroline
Yeah.
said this, gave us the same thing, and a very, very excellent.
She's
And by the way, her description is more the way Einstein thought in general relativity.
Well, you'll have to come on my show.
Yes. Okay. Caroline's in.
I
That
love-
Drew dabbles in astrology and a few clairvoyant mediums, but they have to be really good.
I dabble.
I have friends.
Fair enough.
I have friends, and he likes my friends. And I had 2 here last night. We had a great show, and we're going to come back next Tuesday and talk about predictions and use a really knowledgeable astrologer. So you should watch, and then,
When are you doing that?
next Tuesday.
Okay.
So
Am I allowed to ask who your favorite people for predictions are?
For my show, I all my people are good, but sometimes they don't want to do it because they don't. Some people don't like to be political, and they don't like to, predict things during crisis. But I have a few that will. One in particular who will pretty much do anything is Rebecca Fearing, and she's very good at predicting things to come. The astrology guy seems to be very good. He wrote a paper about 3 years ago and predicted the exact time frame because of the Taurus retrograde. Said it was going to be bad for a certain period of time, and it's all coming true. So I've done prediction shows in the past, and I use particular ones who are willing to take the risk of being wrong, but it's not a science, and manifestation of love and things like that can change the way things go. So, but the astrology portion of it seems a lot more credible because of just, I know whatever Drew was talking about before. But
and
It's a little too complicated for me. I like.
Well, we started with you like retrograde, and I was just explaining what retrograde was.
I don't like retrograde because it messes with our lives, and I don't like it. But I am not really that aware of astrology. I didn't study that as much as just talking to dead people.
The one thing I'll say about retrograde that helped me in learning it is that there's 3 things. Everybody says retrograde, think of the word. So revisit, revamp, review. It's like we all have to kind of look into ourselves or at the collective at things we might not particularly want to see, but it's always for a process of looking at things that we might not be naturally inclined to look at. So it can be good if it's worked for that purpose.
I would argue that I've been feeling like that for about 3 months.
Yeah, I'm going to text this thing that Kyle wrote. You'll be blown away by the way he was.
I don't feel like I want to be feeling like this. Absolutely.
And I have had some of my biggest breakthroughs.
Sleeping I should have slept on the floor.
Yeah,
just clearly.
I was also
clearly I missed out.
I'm also sleeping south as well.
Well, tell him also. You mentioned NLP in passing, but tell him about NLP, neuro-linguistic processing.
So I just want so NLP. I'm going to throw to Caroline here.
Are you into that too, Caroline?
No, just because.
I should let her go before we talk about that.
We will let her go after this. So Caroline, please could you, and I keep forgetting the word, remember when you said, Caroline just summed up through my rising and my sun and my moon, how it's taken me about 5 years to develop and discover and put together my new brand and my new program. And I'm just launching soon, and I would love to come here and share it with you and get you on a hero's journey. Kaza, what did you say to me? And she made me feel so good. And I was like, you are just so perfect.
And what did she say?
About your process?
Yes.
You mean, you're a Capricorn. And so you are very hardworking and methodical and focused on long-term goals. And so you do things in a way that is precise, and it has to be on your timeline. So whenever it's done and whenever it's ready, you're the master of your mastery. And so you're going to have to focus on what your definition of excellence is and hold to your own timeline. You're not going to be able to say, okay, this needs to be done in a week. If it takes you a month, you're going to do it the way you need to do it. But in that month, it'll be the best version of it that you could do. And so that's who you are.
And what was that word that you said? She said that you do things that other people wouldn't necessarily do. You're very, very happy. You want to work sort of like really sort of hum down into the details. And then you said something, sorry, it's all for this punchline. And I can't remember what it was. It was like you do Jupiterial work or something.
Before you did, the dog is farting under the table. Horribly.
It's good luck. I'm a Capricorn too, by the way.
What's going on?
Thanks.
The dog.
Oh, nice.
Drew hears, somebody reading somebody else, and all he does is talk about dog farts.
No. I just thought.
He did that thing where women are talking too much, and he's zoned off.
I'm a Capricorn too, and I totally relate to it, right, Simone? Our birthdays right next to each other.
Yes.
The one thing I'm thinking of, and I don't know if I'll think of the exact correct line, but I know we were talking about how Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is this planet where you have this inclination to do the work that needs to get done, not particularly what you want to do, but what needs to get done. And so that's why it's a little bit of like it sounds a little harsh sometimes, but it's like you're following the work that you feel needs to get done for the world. Was that it?
That was it. And you said you do Saturnian work, which now brings me to Saturnian, didn't you? Saturnian work. And so I said, I want a board outside my door saying, do not disturb, I'm doing Saturnian work.
I like that.
It sounds fabulous.
And Plutonian and Uranian. Don't forget about those either.
Oh.
Yeah, that will be.
So Saturn, Pluto, and Uranus are your planets. Got it.
There we go. Kaza, I love you. Mwah.
Good to talk to you.
Too.
Great to see you again.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Congratulations,
Bye.
Simone.
Thank you.
So, NLP.
Yeah, so NLP is the study of the mind and the language of the mind.
Is it persuasion?
It's interesting. So NLP really isn't a thing. It's interesting. It's a combination. The two people that they studied, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, was a marriage and family therapist, Virginia Satir, and a psychiatrist who is a hypnotherapist.
Okay.
Called
See, if it sounds
Erickson.
hypnotherapeutic
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
And it is, I've extracted from neuro-linguistic programming. I've extracted what I wanted to extract, and I've combined it with Eastern wisdom, which we can talk about another time, and even sort of bits from,
Are you still doing a lot of that?
Psychology. A lot of NLP.
Meditation and Eastern stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I just finished. Oh my gosh, I
Thus
just finished.
sleeping on the floor.
That's how that got me sleeping on the floor.
I figured. I see the remnants.
And what's very interesting about NLP and your question about is it persuasion? It's
because I think we have a lot of that kind of stuff going on in the world today.
Well,
I think Trump does that stuff.
Yes, he did. He studied. Yep. He is a brilliant hypnotist. Obama, every single politician practically.
I think there's a lot of that around.
Yes, and so
I just sort of see that kind of going on there.
Yes, and so it's all by look. We can have a tool that is fantastic. One person can use a shovel, only because I bought one the other day and discovered that you don't call it spade. But anyway, one person can use a shovel and plant a beautiful tree, and the other person can use it to, I don't know,
hit you over the head,
bang you over the head.
What is NRE? Is that like that? Somebody saying NRE?
That might be my accent.
Oh, okay.
But it might not
NLP.
be. NRE,
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay,
Whether
NLP, keep going.
Yeah, so with NLP, it's what is wonderful, and certainly how I use it and what I've taken from it is it's how we communicate with ourselves. So, Drew, for example, if you say, I should do my taxes. Actually, this won't work. I should bring Susan some flowers.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you say I should bring Susan some flowers.
Okay, I should do that. Should bring some flowers.
Okay. And now, how did you feel when you said that?
A little anxious and burdened. Like I got to remember to do that.
Right. There we go. What now? If you change that should to, I could bring Susan some flowers.
I could do it.
But he knows that I don't like flowers.
Right. Then in
Oh, well, don't say that. I've just brought you some flowers over there. She says.
Well, I like orchids. Those are nice.
I should do that. Okay, I could do that. Yeah, I like that. It puts it in a more contemplative sort of phase.
Yeah. And so how do you feel when you say I could do that?
Different. More, yeah.
More empowered. And so
as opposed to I'm going to do that.
Yeah, as in like how many times do we hear the word should when we're young? You should, and it's not often being you should be the most amazing. That sort of presupposes that you're not the most amazing. So children get told they should be something else so many times, and so we run this old script and we keep it running and running and running, feeling like we're not good enough and not worthy and all the rest of it. And so just by reframing language and learning how our mind works, because if
we were talking about this a little earlier about focusing the mind, intending to do something and keeping it top of mind and keeping it as a priority causes different choices moment to moment.
Yeah, and as we're talking about sort of energy, the energy that we know that what we focus on, attracts more energy. And if we're not focusing on this stuff, so I really embraced my fear. One particular aspect of fear, and I'm sure there's plenty more to come during COVID, and felt it for the first time because I knew, hold on a minute, I've had this for 40 something years. I mean, 35.
What did you do with it?
I felt it. This was really interesting. So I felt it, and I was working with someone, and I felt it for the first time because COVID really. It just obviously was very, very strange. And I thought, hold on a minute, if I don't do something like this, if I don't take this opportunity, first of all, I'm not walking the walk that I'm encouraging people to do.
Sure.
And this is this is going to be a COVID crusher of dreams. Well, COVID is crushing dreams, potentially. Dreams of our assumptions of how things should be. I've got to use this opportunity because hopefully we're not going to get this opportunity again. And so all the stuff that was coming up, I actually felt it for the first time. Then I started dreaming. It was really, really interesting. My unconscious mind was so on fire. I started dreaming and I was like, what? This stems back to this experience? Unbelievable. You know,
what was it? Can you talk about it? Or?
Yeah, no, it was fine. It was getting rejected. I mean, there was trauma attached, but it was getting rejected when I was 19 during an abusive relationship. However, I thought, no, I'm way over that.
Right.
And so me also not going out there and going straight online until things were just right. This was stopping me from going out. Hold on, I need to know this. Otherwise, oh my gosh, what happens if I get rejected?
Yeah.
And of course I do. Yeah. I can imagine it stemmed to my father as well.
Yeah.
So what NLP and all the other wonderful stuff I'm doing has helped with and does help with is it helps us to understand, well, hold on a minute, what does our mind like to do? Well, our mind only responds to words and pictures. So that's if I'm not feeling great, well, I've got an old picture in my mind or I've got the wrong words in my mind and they won't be my words. They don't come from my essence because our natural state is love. Consciousness is love. And from there comes, joy, etc. So then...
well, I do come from the position that consciousness is a co-created phenomenon. That people looking for it in a single skull will not find it. I mean, think about it. Just to do this thought experiment. When there's those feral children that are found in the woods, right?
Yes.
They've been living there since they were 2. They're now 15. They come out. Are they conscious? Do they know who they are? Do they have a sense of self? The only way consciousness emerges is with another person, somebody else seeing you, and their experience of you is what gives your experience of you. So you literally, consciousness is sort of the brain outside of itself or with another. It's very interesting.
And that would then tie in with that study from Harvard that said, what is happiness? And we're all looking, it's like obviously now in America, the pursuit of happiness. But actually what it is, it's connection. And you've always said that. You've always sort of been hot on, attachment. And I would also say it's going back to Jung, talking about the collective unconscious. You're really right, because here's the thing that are they conscious? So if you talk about feral children, but if we talk about cavemen, we think, cavemen were Neanderthals, and that might be the correct name for them.
They had a proto-consciousness. If you look at that, animals that we think are mammals that we think are conscious, it's always social animals, dolphins, whales, elephants, that really experience themselves and even they're also the ones that pass the mirror test where they can identify a spot on themselves, and apes, great apes and things. And so any super social mammal, you start to see these proto-consciousness, things we look at and go, hey, I feel like that dolphin is thinking and sees me, and probably some proto version of that is there.
That's interesting. And did you know that crows as well mate for life?
Crows are interesting. That's for another day. Crows are for another day. In the meantime, Susan's going to pop some champagne for you.
You guys, and thank you.
While she's doing that, let me do a little COVID review.
And may I say, just your lighting here, oh my gosh, I feel like Barbara Streisand. And this is what I mean. Susan knows.
Here it comes. Looks like beautiful champagne. My goodness.
It does. Guy,
so look at this, Simone. Looking at California data, you hear these things about spikes in the coronavirus. Look, does that look like any spikiness to you?
No.
Those are the total cases in California. Here is the United States. I'm just having Simone bear witness to me while they get her champagne ready. Look, this is the United States. Look at it. We just trundle along at 20,000, right? That's it. That's just how it goes. Death rates. Let's go in the death rates in the United States. Just to show everybody, all this press BS about spikes is largely nonsense. Daily deaths is sort of cruising along, right? No spiking there, no spiking. That's for Simone. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to ask something. I read something the other day about COVID, and I wanted to send it to you. And I thought, why am I sending it to Drew? Because Drew probably is the person that this guy is referencing.
Go ahead.
But it was about COVID, and it was saying about we can't estimate whether this is a lot of deaths or not, because we're in the middle of it. So when we look at
we're not done yet. It's
Right.
hard. We're no longer in the fog of war. We really don't know where we are and what's going on. We're in a stage where probably we're just going to coexist with it. There will be little spikes, but not further outbreaks. Plus, death rates aren't changing, meaning we're really learning how to manage this thing. Dexamethasone is being used now. Somebody brought up a experimental treatment called Nufil. I was just reading about it. Looks really good. There's so many different products out there that are attacking how the virus gets into the cell and how the cytokine storm unfolds. So and then the vaccine will be available. And I want to get on the phase 3 trial as soon as possible. Some of my chat listeners are supposed to help me with that if they would. And it's going to be fine. It's going to get. I always knew the American system, the healthcare system here, is so responsive and flexible and improvises so well. I knew they would respond to it. So here we are, and it's getting better. It's still nasty. If you're in a risk category, you are 100 times more likely to die at age 80 than age 30 if you get it.
Right.
100 times. And half the people that got it and got sick were over the age of 75 or 70.
Right,
so,
right. And in the UK, what was the drug that they just discovered a couple of days ago, which is a steroid?
Dexamethasone.
Right.
Which is looking really good. And there was some use of solumedrol in the beginning and kind of looked okay, but I used it a bit when some of these I saw a bunch of cases.
Okay, nerdies.
So hang on, we got
Over here,
listen, for our restreamers, we just got to finish our COVID conversation.
Okay,
so,
but first, can we have a little toast?
Nope, not yet.
Please?
Because we're going to leave it behind once we finish the.
You're still talking about COVID.
Yeah, once we finish the COVID.
Can I drink without you?
No, you're going to have to hold it in your hand and be patient. But the point is, we're better off with this thing trundling along and living with us than having a spike that goes away and then a spike again in the fall. That would not be good. We may have some upticks and we may have some outbreaks, but like people are making so much of the states that are having outbreaks. Oregon is joining Texas. Oregon went from 60 to 180 cases a day. Went from 1 death a day to 3 deaths a day. And we can track this thing. We can keep it under control.
And it was interesting that during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, I forgot all about COVID.
Everybody did.
And so did the news stations. And so then I suddenly thought, hold on a minute. Now why are we suddenly going back to death? And I don't think that is good.
It's panic porn. This is Team Armageddon. The press got addicted to making it the worst possible story. They started at making a horrible story out of it. They were responsible for the duration of lockdown and the intensity of lockdown.
And this is I just from a hypnotherapy point of view and from a consciousness point of view, this is not good for our for our souls. And so
we're having lots of mental health problems now, lots of them, and we're going to get. And we're there. The theory is we're going to have 100,000 what they're calling deaths of despair.
Yeah. So it's just.
So let's everybody stay cool, wear the masks, and keep the distancing because it really does work. It's really a good thing. Don't squander the opportunity because we could then have breakouts. We could have explosions.
And could anybody who wants to transform, just hold on, anybody who wants to transform stuck energy and who just wants to feel very natural and like the hero that they are, may I give a shameless plug?
Please.
But mine's a joyful plug.
Good.
If you go to SimoneBienne.com, so there's my name.com, and I haven't launched yet, but I just wanted to get something up just in case anybody your people are just the most darling, wonderful, kind fans in the world. There is it's sort of a 15-minute meditation, and it's really, really, really beautiful, and they can just get it for free. I'm going to be doing lots more, but that will really, really help sort of shift the energy, because with this, like we were talking about this, like fear, this is not good for it's not good for our souls, and that it of course impacts our immune system.
Yes, it does.
So anyway, anyway, we
Simone-
love you and we're sending loads of
SimoneBienne.com.
love.
SimoneBienne.com, yeah.
You got
Yes, and Drew, I'd love you to listen to it as well.
I will.
I've
So
got to
Andrew's
come
telling us
and do-
that's
I've got
there
to come
now.
and do. I've got
All
to
right,
come
here
and
we
do
go.
Timeline
The
Fair.
reason we're
Anyway.
all here today is
Hey,
to
wait. Let me see if I can cue up the music again.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody can hear it on the restream.
And
but
may I say hello to Gillian, who was the lovely lady
We hear it.
at
That helped you?
USCIS,
Wow.
who we ended up having a 10-minute conversation about nails, and then
Nice.
she went, "Now let's talk about why you're here."
I like where you had it all greased up so you can make sure you get through without any trouble. Well
Okay,
done.
I
So
hope- I hope
speaking
they
of
can hear the
NLP,
music. I don't know how.
we hear it here. We hear it. Now, the big flag flying in the background does not mean we are Wally George. This is not the Wally George show. This is the Simone Bienne celebration of her citizenship. And welcome to
Aw,
the country.
Thank you
God
so much.
bless
Thank
you and God
Thank
bless
you.
America.
Thank you. Yes, yes. May consciousness bless America.
Yeah, it's a better higher
And,
higher consciousness.
and
Justin,
higher
congratulations.
consciousness, yes. So to love of this fabulous country and everything that
my
it
God.
offers. And this has been a dream since I was 11 years old.
To be an American citizen.
To be American. And it's weird, Drew. You asked me how I felt earlier. Do you know what I feel? I feel like I belong. It makes me quite teary, and I feel powerful. And I feel like right. Hold on. I don't have to make an excuse anymore. Oh yeah, no, I'm British and blah blah blah. I'm American, and that means that I'm gonna run for governor. No, I'm not.
You could though, right?
I'm going to encourage you to run for
Okay,
governor.
okay. I'm thinking about it.
But I'm
I'm
yeah.
feeling very powerless, and so that makes me feel like I should do something.
Yeah,
So-
you
Run
must
for
do
governor
something.
now.
You
He'd
must do
probably win
something
in a
because we
heartbeat.
need you. I've already got 2 investors for you. Because I'm like, he needs to run for.
Didn't we talk about this in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you should do
So-
something.
So hello to Julian,
American.
who is one of your investors,
Ah,
your
thank you.
future investors.
Thank you.
It's always been a pleasure to know you, and you've always been very honest and helpful. And you even went on my crazy podcast a couple times, and we love the Christmas gifts. You give the most amazing Christmas gifts that I've ever seen. They're always well wrapped, and you're very thoughtful. And
That's the
I
Swiss
tried
in
to
me.
wrap
What do you
that flower arrangement for you right there, and trust me, it's
that's
not my forte.
beautiful.
But I'm just so happy for you. I feel like you're a daughter, and I'm having your wedding online for your friends. Like,
Ooh, she's crying.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm so glad it happened. I'm sorry you had to be in there alone. I hope you took lots of pictures. I don't know. if
It
you
is
let
something you have to do alone, right?
No, it's
Anything.
COVID.
Yeah, all the
Oh,
COVID
masks
got me.
and yes, but we're
They were
here,
lovely
and
there.
I hope this helped
Thank
you
you.
today. And-
This has
This
been
was fun, and your friends and all were lovely and stopping
So
by. And it's
amazing.
midnight in
And
wherever they were.
Simone
Where's she
can
Not
talk.
Manchester.
She
Where was
can
she?
talk. So we're gonna have to
Manchester.
have another podcast and
I would
talk
love
about all
that.
these things.
I would love that.
Yeah, we'll
And
come in and we should do like some sort of structure. I did a podcast where somebody did. It hasn't aired yet, but they did CBT on me. And because people talk about CBT all the time, and I said I want somebody to because it's kind of vague always. I said let's do an hour of CBT so people can see how that works. It was very good. It was really good. So maybe we do an hour of it. No. That's what I
me-
thought too. That's what I thought too. But when I was
got
in,
someone really great.
I got somebody good. It's not something I would do on an ongoing basis, but I was impressed by how it worked, and I could see where it worked for some people.
And what CBT is very good at is short term.
Yes, and so my point is maybe we could do an hour of NLP with somebody or me or something.
Yeah, no,
you know,
I
so,
would love
yeah.
to do that. And I've already let's get you in your quantum self and beyond time and
Quantum
space.
self.
And yeah, and
I'm
I'm
going to
doing,
my quantum
I'm
self.
doing something. So what the practice that I love so much, Einstein talked about it, and he was talking about time stream. So we're going to get you beyond time and space, and you'll
Okay,
absolutely
but in the
love
meantime,
it.
we have the arrow of time to contend with, and we have to wrap this thing up. I have to do
It
Fox.
is.
I have
Thank you
to
for
do
the best party, Susan.
Fox
I love
11
you so much.
tonight at 7 o'clock. I'll
Thanks
see
for
you there.
complimenting my
It
tits.
is.
I appreciate it.
And your heart. And Justin, I love you.
All right, you guys, and thank you for stopping by, everybody. We will. Are we in here tomorrow, Susan?
Yeah, sure, why not? Early.
Early. Let me look at tomorrow. Hold on, everybody, before we make a
Well,
commitment. Yeah, we'll be in here tomorrow.
We'll just talk about you tomorrow.
Who? The streamers, the chatters.
We had a lot of people hang in. They want to know if Simone's married. Yes, she is. And also, I don't know. They flew through and gave you good words of
I've got to say, and I'm going back on Twitter in about 2 weeks and sort of joining the social. Unfortunately, I can't. My brain can't do too many things
it's
at
okay.
once.
You do what you do.
But I just want to say thank you, because many of the people who have been kind enough to stay with me on social media are from you, Drew.
Oh, good.
And they are good, kind, warm, amazing people. And I still work with a couple of your biggest fans. So one of them is Phil, who sees you on your other podcast, which is the comedy podcast, and said, Drew, oh my gosh, Drew got this. And I was like, oh yeah, we call him Jedi Drew. And
The After Dark podcast.
Phil,
After Dark.
which Phil?
He's Phil Hudson.
Hi, Phil.
No, oh my gosh, have I forgotten his name? I think, but I call him Phil
Hendricks?
Yeah.
No, he's a friend of mine.
I want to say
yes.
that also Andrew, who always
Martha,
follow, who
hello.
I rely on more and more and more. For
He's
information.
here. Hi, Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew, where do you come up with this stuff? How do you find? He's talking about the NBA players are going to wear a smart ring at Disney World that's capable of predicting COVID symptoms 3 days before they physically manifest with 90% accuracy. I was like, where are you finding this data?
Wow.
I'm reading stuff
Smart
all
ring.
the time, and I seem not to be able to keep up
Apple's
with you.
gonna make
Now-
some.
But
Gosh,
I did,
bought some
Andrew, send
stuff.
you. I did send you I sent you, Andrew, a note today about the genetic cluster that is now being associated with cytokine storm, which is very interesting. And I did spend my afternoon looking at all the different genetic mechanisms, and CCR5, which you've been advocate for, is in there, as well as I think IL-6. So, or mechanisms around IL-6. So that all kind of makes
the
sense a little
flag.
bit.
And Justin has actually developed software for, I can't remember which sports.
NBA team?
I think it is.
Is he
It's
doing
not
football?
NBA. It is.
Soccer?
I think it's major.
Foot-
Justin,
What you call football?
to do with COVID. What is your? You've got an app, and who are you using it with?
With some of the major league sports here.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes. So there we go. He's clearly
I
under an
think-
NDA.
I think we better wrap up.
Yeah,
the
so
dog is
anyway.
starting to tear your
buy
stuff
Apple stock.
apart.
Oh.
There's got to be some food in there because he is going to town.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
you guys.
Thank you so
Congratulations,
much for
Bienne,
having me.
and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Love you. That's funny.
Oh,
I have to.
That was
this
fun.
so
You have
much.
to end the stream.
Okay. Whoop.